Hello and welcome to a yoga session. My name is Eli Khan. This is for Tarrant County College, Northeast Campus, and we are in our standing position, mountain pose. If you want to have your feet completely touching, you may. I'm going to keep my feet about, on each side of a railroad track, athletic stance, standing mountain pose. Let's focus on our breath. Our eyes can be opened or closed. We can place our hands onto our abdominals. When we breathe in, we can feel our breath enter our bodies as our stomachs expand. When we breathe out, we can use our hands to press the air out of our bodies. One breath, one sensation, body and mind working together. Let's begin to unite breath with movement in a standing lateral flexion. We breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathe out, drop one arm down into our lateral flexion. Breathe in, both arms to the sky. Breathing out as we laterally flex over to the other side. One breath, one movement, body and mind working together. Breath and movement matching. Focusing on a positive affirmation. Today, I embrace my inner strength. You can repeat that with me. Today, I embrace my inner strength. This is a safe place to have our eyes closed if our balance is okay with this, but it's easier to balance with those eyes opened. On our next inhalation, let's keep both arms elevated up and overhead. As we breathe out, we release hands and energy to our heart center. We'll stand at the front of our mats. Breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathe out, we swan dive forward, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, let's gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, let's step our right foot back, resting our right knee to the mat. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands down. We step back onto all fours, hands and knees. Cat-cow posture. Blow out as we round into our beautiful cat. Breathe in as we arch into our beautiful cow, creating a C-curve shape with our spine into opposing directions. Now, for the sake of mirror imaging, going to try a little activation here. We're going to keep our right knee bent and straighten our left leg back, but twist your right toes to the side of your mat for a kneeling side plank. You can move that right hand a little bit closer towards the center of your mat, elevating the left hand to the ceiling. We're in our kneeling side plank, if this is okay for your body. Now breathe into our gate pose, breathing out as we return to our kneeling side plank. If this is too hard on the right knee joint, it's okay to add a fold into your mat and add an extra cushion. But if this is too much to have your knee on the mat, it's okay to be in a standing position and return to that lateral flexion that we did near the beginning of class. Possibly stay here in your kneeling side plank. Drop the left arm down. Breathe and raise this left arm. Breathe out to lower. Maybe add your left foot. Breathe in to lift. Breathing out to lower. Resting the left hand to the waist. Breathe in, left knee towards chest. Breathe out as we press our left heel towards the back of our mat. Breathe in and breathe out. our heel towards the back of our mat. Let's bring ourselves up. And we're going to switch over to the other side. The left knee will stay to the mat, straightening our right leg to the back of the mat, dropping the left hand to the mat, right arm to the ceiling. Gate pose, lateral flexion, returning to our kneeling side plank. Breathing into our gate, breathing out to our kneeling side plank. One breath, one movement, body and mind continuing to work together. Breath and movement match. Let's find ourselves holding in our kneeling side plank. Dropping right hand down, breathe in to raise right arm, breathe out to lower. Maybe include the right leg with the arm in the lift and the lower. The hand has a lot further to travel than the foot does. We're releasing our right hand to our waist. Breathe in, right knee towards our chest. Breathe out as we press our right heel towards the front of our mat. Holding our heel towards the front of our mat, we release down. Let's move on to all fours, hands and knees. We round our mid-back into our beautiful cat. We arch into our cow. Breathing out as we round. Breathing in as we arch. Let's find ourselves holding our tailbone up to the same height as the crown of our head. Spinal balance. Send one leg behind you, maybe the opposite arm forward, and then activate rest hand and knee, then switch over to the other side. It's okay to only raise one leg or to only raise one arm. Avoid double chinning here. Keep your eye gaze in front of those hands to the floor in front of your hands. We release down. Child's pose, extended, modified, or regular. Curling our toes under, lifting our knees off of the mat, downward facing dog. Walk the dog, alternate as we press one heel down, then the other. Let's breathe into our plank or a modified plank. I'm going to be in a full plank here and do something a little different here. Going to come on back to my downward facing dog. Then I'm going into a single leg plank, but it's okay to hang out in a kneeling plank or child's pose at any point. Breathe into your plank. Now, right knee towards right elbow, and then kick back to your down dog. Bring that right knee up towards your right elbow, and kick back up to your downward facing dog. On your next plank, keep your right knee to the outside of your right elbow. Drop it down to your wrist, up to your elbow. Wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, last wrist, elbow, kick it back up. Three-legged down dog. Rest this foot down. Let's raise our left foot. Bring left knee towards left elbow, plank. Back to single three-legged down dog. Stay forward, right or left knee up to the outside of the left elbow, drop it down to the wrist, up to the elbow. Wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, last wrist, elbow, kick it back. Three-legged down dog. Rest this foot down. Child's pose. Extended, modified, or regular. Curling those toes back under. Downward facing dog. Let's step our left foot forward and walk our hands towards the center of our mats to our wide sunflower stance. Softening our knees, using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, releasing our hands to our heart center. Sunflowers. Breathe in, lengthen those arms up. Breathe out as we bend our knees, squat down, drop your head if that's okay for your neck. Breathe in as we circle our arms up. Breathe out as we gather our imaginary sunflowers. You choose how deep you fold your knees. You choose where your eye gaze goes when you fold those knees. Maybe look to the floor. Maybe as you fold the knees, look forward in my direction. What feels best for your neck muscles? Breathing in through the nose, blowing out through the mouth, through those pursed lips. Actually, I'm sorry, that's my Pilates breathing. When we breathe in yoga, we breathe in and out through the nose at all times. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Today, I embrace my inner strength. We'll keep our arms elevated up and overhead. We release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Let's step forward to the front of our mats. Sun salutations, right leg will lead today. Breathe in, we lengthen our arms to the sky. I'm actually going to give you a front view today. Breathe out, we swan dive forward, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, let's look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Left knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Left side. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Right knee to the mat or not, again, you decide. Breathing in, heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands. And we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathe out, chair pose, right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga, better knees to hit the mat than chest or belly. Breathe in, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Left knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathing in, heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Extended mountain, breathe out, chair pose. Left side, breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga, elbows kissing rib cage. Breathe in, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, let's reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. 2 more sun salutations, right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose. Maybe left leg kicks up to a 3-legged down dog. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank, left leg can remain lifted. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, both feet to the mat. Roll up dog, tops of the feet to the mat. Breathe out, maybe add your extra push-up. Back to your down dog or your child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Breathing in, heart center sky. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, let's reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Final sun salutation, left side. Breathe in, lengthening arms up and overhead, extended mountain. Breathe out when we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, let's step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands and step back, down dog or child's pose. Maybe right leg kicks up to a 3-legged down dog. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. The right leg could remain lifted. Breathe out, let's lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, both feet to the mat. Roll up dog. Breathe out, maybe add your extra push-up. Back to your down dog or your child's pose extended. Our left foot steps forward. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, heart center sky. Breathing out, release our hands when we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Breathe in, let's lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, clasping our fingers together. And on our next inhalation, we stay. Breathing out, activated standing lateral flexion return. Breathe in, return center. Breathing out, other side. Breathing into return center. Breathing out. Breathing in back to center. Breathing out. Last breathe into center. Breathing out, hands and energy to our heart center. Finding ourselves getting closer to the floor. Breathe in, lengthen arms up and overhead. Breathe out, we swan dive forward, hinging from our hips. Forward fold. Breathe in, let's gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we walk, hopper, jump, feet back, returning to our downward facing dog. Walk the dog, alternate. As we press one heel down on the other, we have starfish hands. Even weight distribution amongst our fingertips and our palms. As a reminder, we can substitute child's pose extended for down dog at any point in our yoga session. We can also rest in down dog or child's pose extended at any point in our session as our bodies might need a break. We're resting our knees down. Child's pose, extended, modified, or regular. Modified with stacked fist on top of fist, resting forehead onto stacked fists. Regular would send hands down by feet. Wherever we might be, or moving into a camel pose. I'm going to add a fold to my mat so I can have extra cushion for my knees. I also open up my knees a little bit wider, about the same width as my shoulders. Fists towards the tops of my buttocks. Push my hips forward, open up through my chest. Maybe, if neck allows, I look up to the ceiling. If that's bad on the neck, continue to look forward. You could stay here in somewhat of a back bend. If you want to go deeper, hinge back and maybe send your hands towards your heels or your ankles. Open up through the chest, camel pose. Another option is to raise one arm to the sky and breathe. If you did choose to raise one arm, rest this hand down and try the other arm lifted. We're bringing ourselves back up, finding ourselves, wrapping our feet towards the backs of our mats or the fronts of your mats, depending on what direction you're facing. We'll find ourselves on our backs, hands resting by our sides, knees are bent, shoulder bridge. When we breathe out, we're raising our buttocks up off of the mat. We can stay here. We could walk our shoulders a little bit closer towards our feet. We could interlace our hands into a chest expansion. Let's release. Modified pigeon pose, placing our left ankle onto our right thigh. Possibly raising our right foot off of the mat, left hand inside the hole created by our legs, clasping our hands around our right shin or our right hamstrings. And we're breathing. Reminding ourselves later, we'll move into a regular pigeon, but you could always return to this reclining pigeon as a modification. Modifications can make things nicer or harder. Screaming pigeon is another modification of regular pigeon. Let's switch it out. Right ankle to left thigh. Maybe raise that left foot off of the mat. Right hand inside the figure four created by our legs. Clasping our hands around the left shin or the left hamstrings. And we're breathing. Let's release down. We'll roll over to one side for sideline dancer pose. We're going to perform the actual dancer pose later on today as well. This is a much safer version, sideline dancer pose, because we're anchored to the floor, folding through the knee joint of our top leg, drawing that heel towards our buttocks. Avoid the tendency is people want to lift this top knee up to the ceiling. Keep that top knee dropped down to the bottom leg. We release. We transition to the other side, folding through this knee joint, drawing this heel towards our buttocks, dropping the knee down to the floor as opposed to up towards the ceiling. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Today, I embrace my inner strength. We release, roll onto our bellies, Sitting back, child's pose, extended. Curling our toes under, preparing for down dog, raising those knees off of the mat. Let's walk, hop, or jump feet forward, forward fold. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the side. Breathing out, releasing hands and energy to our heart center. We'll step our left foot back, or whichever foot is going to have you facing me, so you're in your wide sunflower stance. Now let's turn our right toes to face the front of our mats and press our left heel towards the back of our mat so the left toes are in somewhat of a 45-degree angle. Warrior two arms. We fold into our right knee joint to our warrior two legs. Maybe look towards our right fingers. Sink into low body, expanding back with our upper body, pressing through the outside of our left heel. And we're breathing. Reverse warrior, right palm to the sky, left hand towards the left leg, expanding waist through rib cage and chest. Returning warrior two arms, warrior two legs. Sink into low body, expand back with our upper body. Maybe look towards our right fingers. Let's straighten through our right knee joint, triangle pose. Breathe in, lean towards the front of the mat, booty towards the back of the mat. Breathing out, dropping right hand to knee, block, shin, ankle, foot, or floor, lifting the left fingertips to the sky, maybe sending our eye gaze up towards our left hand. Keeping our left shoulder open to the sky. It's more important to keep our top shoulder open to the sky than to allow our bottom hand to hit the floor. Let's return to our warrior two arms. Resting our hands down, adjusting our foot positioning. Sunflower feet. Now turn the left toes to face the back of our mat, pressing our right heel towards the front of our mat. Returning to our warrior two arms. We can fold through our left knee joint, sinking into low body, expanding back with our upper body. Pressing through the outside of our right foot. And breathing. I accept my body and my mind completely in this moment, in this breath. Reverse warrior, left palm to the sky, right hand drops to the right leg, maintaining a fold in our left knee joint as we expand waist through rib cage and chest. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Today, I embrace my inner strength. We return to our warrior two arms, warrior two legs, and breathe. Let's straighten through our left knee joint, triangle pose preparation. Breathe in, lean towards the back of our mat, booty towards the front of our mat. Breathe out, dropping the left hand to knee, block, shin, ankle, foot, or floor. Automatically press your hips forward towards the side of your mat. Maybe look up towards your right fingers. Open up the right shoulder and breathe. Let's bring ourselves back up, adjusting our feet to our sunflower feet. Breathe in, brief return, one breath, one movement for our sunflowers. Breathe out, folding our knees, gathering those imaginary sunflowers, adjusting feet if necessary. Breathe in as we lengthen up. Breathe out as we squat down, hopefully achieving a balance for our right and our left legs. We breathe and lengthen those arms back up and overhead. Breathing out, we're releasing our hands and our energy to our heart center. Let's step our feet forward. You can stand near the front of your mat. For the purpose of pigeon pose, I'm going to face you today like I did for the sun salutation so you can get a visual. We'll start off with the right leg. So breathe in, lengthen arms up and overhead. It's okay to lay down on your back and place right ankle to left thigh. Breathe out, swan dive forward into our forward fold. We'll walk back into our downward facing dog. Now, if you'd like to, from regular down dog, raise your right knee high up towards the ceiling, three-legged down dog. Breathe in, bring this right knee up towards your chest. Breathe out, rest your right foot over to the left side of your mat. Drop your left knee onto the mat. Avoid falling onto your right butt cheek. Stay on top of your left leg. And ideally, your right knee should be at a 2 o'clock position on the clock, and your right foot should be at a 10 o'clock position on the clock. I am closer to 1 o'clock and probably 7 o'clock here, and that's okay. There's no perfect pose in yoga. Go with what feels best for your body. If you want to drop elbows and forearms down, you may. We breathe. For those of you that want to move into screaming pigeon, I know we've already done this semester, kind of the second class, and I apologize for putting that video in on the second class. But you could, just an option, not an obligation, send your hands back underneath your shoulders, fold through your left knee joint, send your left hand towards your left foot, and draw your left heel in towards your booty. Some people are able to, and I think we have somebody in our class that the former dancer can raise their right hand up and bring that right hand over to that left foot. I'm not there. Letting go of our competitive spirit. We're letting go of judging others. Letting go of expectations. Let's release our screaming pigeon if we chose that option. Hands back underneath our shoulders. We're going to step back, downward facing dog. Preparing for the other side. So if you are laying on your back, equal to right thigh. Otherwise, raise that left knee high up towards the ceiling, three-legged down dog. We breathe in, sweep our left knee up towards our chest. Breathe out, rest our left foot over to the right side of our mat, dropping onto our right leg. Avoid falling onto the left butt cheek here. We could stay upright in our pigeon. We could surrender elbows and forearms down. And the left knee could be at a 10 o'clock position. The left foot could be at a 2 o'clock position for an ideal positioning. Again, I'm not quite there. I'm closer to 11 o'clock and probably 6 o'clock. No, not 6 o'clock. I'm thinking 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock even. But 10 and 2 is the ideal position. But there is no perfect pose in yoga. If you want to move into your screaming pigeon, hands go back underneath shoulders, folding through the right knee joint. One side might be more acceptable over another, and always listening to your body. So if the first side said, okay, that's great, the second side might say, no, thank you, or vice versa. Listen to your body, honor your body. Maybe the left hand reaches up and the left hand hits that right foot. Always breathe. We gently release, and we step back, downward facing dog. Let's walk, hop, or jump feet forward, finding ourselves in our forward fold. Softening our knees, using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Preparing for a pyramid pose followed by a reverse triangle, and I'll still face you again. We'll start off with that right foot, mountain pose. Breathe in, lengthening arms up and overhead. Breathing out, releasing hands. Add energy to our heart center. We're stepping our right foot back. My right toes turn out slightly. Trying to keep this left knee somewhat straightened. And if you do have access to blocks, you can have your hands reach and touch the blocks or even textbooks. I do have the flexibility to drop my hands to the floor. You can shift your hips forward and back and embrace this beautiful stretch for your left hamstrings. Maybe keep your hands as they are. Maybe a chest expansion for our arms. Possibly an upside down prayer pose. Palms together, flip those fingers to point up towards your head instead of down towards the floor. Always breathe. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Today, I embrace my inner strength. We're releasing our hands down to the floor or to blocks, preparing for a reverse triangle where we take our left hand to our waist, turning towards the back of our mat. Maybe eye gaze over the left shoulder to the ceiling. Maybe straighten through the left elbow joint and reach the left fingertips to the sky. Possibly right hand to the outside of our left foot for more intensity. And as a reminder, when we rotate our spine, if we are pregnant, we limit our rotation, or if we have back issues, we limit our rotation as well. We carefully return to center, pyramid pose. We step forward, forward fold, noticing the difference between the right and the left sides of our bodies. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Let's step our left foot back, releasing our left heel to the mat, left toes turn slightly out to the side. Hinge forward for that pyramid. Hands can rest to blocks or the floor depending on flexibility. Shifting hips forward and back. Determine which hip placement creates your desired sensation. Potentially chest expansion arms or upside down prayer pose arms. Select what you may have selected on the first side. If you have upside down prayer pose arms, palms together, flip those fingers up to point towards the crown of your head as opposed to down to the floor. Continuing to send positive healing exhalations to whichever area of our body currently feels sensation. We can release our hands down to our regular pyramid. Balancing half moon option, not balancing half moon, reverse triangle. Taking our right hand to the waist. Maybe stay here. Maybe twist and look towards the front of my mat. Maybe eye gaze over my right shoulder up towards the ceiling above me. Maybe straighten through the right elbow joint, reaching the right fingertips to the sky. Potentially left hand to the outside of our right foot. Always breathe. Carefully, we return to center pyramid pose. We step forward, forward fold, hopefully achieving a balance between the right and the left sides of our bodies. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, releasing hands and energy to our heart center. Preparing for our standing dancer pose, which is a balancing pose. You are welcome to lay on your side and choose the safer version that we did earlier on for the quadricep stretch. We'll start off raising our right foot, so that means we're going to start off with our left elbow bent, eye gaze to a fixture in the room, left palm facing the sky. Send
your right foot to your right hand. And if you need to hold on to the wall to do this, you can. From here, if you're able to stand in balance, if you want to go to the next level, lift this left arm up to the sky. Possibly stay here, maybe hinge forward, maybe take this left hand to your right foot. You select how deep. You hinge the heart center closer to the floor and breathe. Let's carefully bring ourselves back to center, resting our right foot down. Folding through the right elbow joint. Taking left foot to left hand. This side might be easier to balance, it might be more challenging. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Maybe elevate this arm. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Possibly stay here, potentially hinge forward at the hips, allowing the heart center to get closer to the floor. Maybe send your right hand to your left foot. Carefully returning to center. Standing mountain pose. Melting shoulders away from our ears. Reconnecting body and mind. The next time we breathe in, keep your heels heavy onto the mat, but raise those toes off of your mat. Continue to breathe. Eyes can be opened or closed. The next time we breathe out, spreading our toes as wide onto the mat as we can. We breathe in, lengthen our arms back up and overhead. Breathing out as we swan dive, hinging from our hips. Forward fold. Let's walk, hop, or jump, feet back, downward facing dog. Breathing into our plank or our modified planks. Hang out here in your plank. Chaturanga for 5. Slowly 4, 3, 2. Rest that belly onto the mat. Hands nice and wide. Gentle cobra, keep the feet resting, raise the face off of the mat. We could stay here if we'd like to apply pressure into our hands and get more of an up dog feel. We may. Breath continuation. Today, I embrace my inner strength. Today, I embrace my inner strength. We release back down. Bow pose, bending our knees, sending our hands to our feet. Now, if our flexibility doesn't allow us to place both hands to each foot, it's okay to work on just one side or roll onto your side into a sideline dancer pose. If you are in your bow pose, raising every single body part you can off of the mat, or even just a single leg bow pose. If you're with one side, switch over to the other side. If you have both feet, as you breathe out, lift a little higher. Create space with our exhalations. Let's release. Child's pose, extended, modified, or regular. Knees can be together, or knees can be apart. Regular child's pose would send hands down by feet. We're sending our hands underneath our shoulders, raising our face off of the mat and wrapping our feet around so that we can lay down on our backs. Bridge pose. Knees are bent, raising our hips off of the mat. We'll have the option today to perform an inversion, a plow, or a shoulder stand. There are a lot of reasons why you would not do a plow, why you would not do a shoulder stand. Here's the list. If you are pregnant, do not do a plow, do not do a shoulder stand. If you currently have sinus issues, do not do a plow or a shoulder stand. If you are on your menstrual cycle, your period, do not do a plow or a shoulder stand. You can stay here in your bridge. If you have a heart condition, do not do a plow or a shoulder stand. If you have high blood pressure, do not do a shoulder stand or the plow pose. Do not do inversions if you fall into any of those categories. If you're just feeling a little off balance, don't do it. If you have neck issues, definitely do not do plow or shoulder stand either. Sometimes low back issues can come into factor and you might want to lay off as well. For those of us that fit into the category of, yes, I could actually do an inversion today, rest those hips down. For those of you that do not, you can go back to your bridge. You can just hang out here in a butterfly pose with your butt resting. I'll start off with the plow. I raise my feet up to the height of my knees. I can use my hands to support my low back. Keep your head and neck stationary and raising the tailbone off of the mat. And it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm not sure if my feet are actually going to hit the mat behind my head or the floor behind my head. But you can use your hands to support your low back. If your feet hit the floor, you could send your hands to your ankles or to your feet. The inversions, the plow here, is considered a cleansing of your internal organs in the yoga philosophy. Reminding ourselves to breathe in as much as we breathe out. Now, it's easier when we get ourselves out of this plow to bend those knees, and that's what I'm going to do because I've been having some low back issues. It's harder to have those knees straight, but we're slowly going to release our tailbone back down to the mat. Then hug our knees into our chest, rock a little bit side to side. Whenever we perform an inversion like that, a plow, maybe next time we'll do a shoulder stand. But there is the counter, and I'm totally forgetting the name of the pose right now for the counter. I'll figure it out at some point. But the counter pose to that is to send our hands underneath our buttocks. And you're allowed to do this even if you did not do the inversion. Straightening your legs forward or butterfly legs. Up to you as far as what's going to feel comfortable for you. Now you're going to press into those hands and lift your head off of the mat, and your elbows and forearms are onto the mat, but your hands are still underneath your buttocks, the palms are facing the floor. This is where it gets a little interesting. Puff your chest to the sky, and if possible, drop your head back. The head may or may not hit the floor. If this hurts your neck, you can rest your head onto your textbook or your yoga block as options. It might be a little bit challenging to figure out a place to breathe here. Try to remember to find that breath where you feel calm, peaceful, and relaxed. Let's carefully release ourselves from this pose. We get to lay down on our backs. Let's move into a spinal twist. We can straighten one leg forward, pull one knee into our chest. The leg that's pulled in towards your chest, take that arm straight out to the side, letter T shape with the arm. This straightened leg to the floor, take that hand side to the bent knee and push that knee over to the straight leg side for a little spinal rotation. It's okay if your knee and foot do not hit the floor. It's okay if they do hit the floor. Those of us that are pregnant, we limit the amount of rotation of our spine. Those of us that have back issues, we limit our rotation as well. Let's return to center. We switch to the other side, pulling the other knee in towards our chest. Letter T shape with that arm of the bent knee, pressing this leg over to the opposite side, possibly sending our eye gaze over to our hand behind us. Always breathing. Let's carefully return to center, preparing to move through our muscle tightening. We breathe in, tighten and squeeze every single muscle that we have in our bodies, maybe raising body parts off of the mat. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. Again, breathing in, tightening and squeezing, holding on. Breathe out, release, and let go. Last time, breathe in, tighten and squeeze, holding on. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. We're allowing our feet to flop open. We're allowing our palms to face the ceiling. Let's swallow to relax through our communication center. This is your time to breathe. This is your time to feel. If you'd rather in relaxation, bend your knees, have the soles of the feet to the mat, butterfly your legs, roll onto a side into a fetal position, roll onto your belly if you prefer. Find a place where you feel comfortable, calm, and relaxed. For the next 7 or 8 minutes, we can just breathe. It's okay if you fall asleep. Let's gently roll over onto one side into our fetal position. Allowing our fingers and our toes to wiggle to help reawaken our body. Noticing any positive transformational changes that may have occurred during today's session. Reawakening our voices. Today I embrace my inner strength. Today I embrace my inner strength. We carefully press ourselves up, returning to a seated position. Dipping right ear over towards right shoulder. We return to center, left ear over towards left shoulder. Returning to center. Let's breathe and lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathing out as we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. My spirit honors yours. Namaste.